Hello everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another video. I wanted to do a sit down video today to tell the story of what made me do my pregnancy test. And the reason why this video is important to me is because if you watched some of my previous videos, I expressed how I experienced 2 miscarriages last year in 2020. And during that time, in between those times, I was desperately seeking some type of encouragement, words of advice, or anything that could help me along in that process and in that time of longing and waiting for it to happen again. And I found that watching these videos have helped me a whole lot in those processes. So just a little bit of backstory. In January of 2020, I experienced a miscarriage. And then 4 months later, I experienced a chemical pregnancy, which is a very early miscarriage. After that time, my husband went back overseas, and so there wasn't the opportunity to even try again for another baby. But in that time, I was still longing for it, still seeking answers, still wondering why this may have happened. So I ordered the pre-mom kit from Amazon, which gives 20 pregnancy tests and 50 ovulation tests, I think, if I'm correct. And I started tracking to see if my ovulation was matching up to when my period tracker was saying that I was ovulating as well. After doing that for about 3 months while he was gone, and everything seemed to be, just fine, right on track to when it was supposed to be, I stopped testing. It wasn't really any point at that time anyway. So when he did return home, which was June of this year, of course, by that time I had went through a process and trained my mind to not be so anxious about it, and I told myself that once he got home, I wasn't gonna even be anxious about trying right away or anything like that, that I just let it happen whenever it happens. So we relocated from South Carolina to Texas in June of this year, right after he returned home, a few weeks after he returned home. When he returned home, like I said, I had my mind made up. I wasn't gonna worry about it. I was content with where we were at. And I was focusing on our move and our transition and settling into our new home in our new state, and getting everything squared away that we need. We had a ton to do. We had a brand new house. We have a brand new house. Kids were getting appointed with brand new schools, careers, work, all that stuff. So that wasn't on my mind at the time. But a few weeks after being in Texas, I had a dream that I had got a positive pregnancy test. And so I sent him out to get a pregnancy test, because although I had the kit with a ton of pregnancy tests in it, our movers hadn't arrived with our stuff yet. So I didn't have any here with me. So I had him go out and get a test so that I could test after I had that dream that was very clear that there was a positive pregnancy test. So he went out and got a test, and although I have taken many pregnancy tests, this test was different from any other ones that I had. It wasn't complicated. I just didn't read the instructions the way that I should have, because I just assumed that they were pretty much the same as the other. But this test, I assumed that it was supposed to be 2 lines, a 2-line test. However, this test was supposed to be like a cross and it actually had a second line that was on the side. And because I saw 2 lines, I assumed that was a positive. Didn't think to read the instructions, and saw those 2 lines and got overly excited. And I ran and showed my husband, and he looked at it, he glanced at it, he was like, that means you're pregnant. He asked, that means you're pregnant? And I was like, that's when I took a second look at it, and I was like, oh wait. And then I looked at it and I was like, I don't know. And then I went to read the instructions, and turns out that I had read the instructions wrong. So although I had my mind made up that I wasn't gonna even worry about it or anything like that, and I was in that mind space, seeing or getting my hopes up in that moment, and then getting let down, it was disappointing. And so I was very disappointed after that. And then I got that longing back again, because up until then I wasn't thinking about it, I wasn't longing for it. Like I said, I was just going to enjoy him being back home and enjoying getting settled into our new place and everything. But now all of a sudden, after this negative pregnancy test, this longing has returned, and I'm anxious once again. Another reason why I didn't want to try right away when he came home, because I didn't feel like I was emotionally or mentally ready if I were to get pregnant again, because I felt like I asked myself, like, how would I feel if I were to get pregnant again, after experiencing those miscarriages, and what would it be like? And I found that I would be extremely anxious and scared and worried that something like that would happen again. So I knew that until I was emotionally and mentally ready for that, I shouldn't try. I shouldn't even put myself through that. So that was another main reason why I didn't want to try right away as well. And so after that negative pregnancy test, the month after that, I decided that I was going to start back tracking. So I started tracking the next month. Nothing happened. Started tracking again the month after that to see if anything would happen. Nothing happened. And after that second month of tracking and nothing happening, I started feeling anxious again, as I expected, and I started longing for it once again, and started feeling stressed about it again. And so I was like, I'm clearly not ready for this. And up until this point, I had already made up my mind that I was going to wait anyway. So I said, okay, let me back off of this. Let me get my mind back right. Let me focus on what I need to focus on right now. When it's God's will, when it's His timing, everything will happen when it's supposed to. I just gotta, take myself out of the equation, because God don't need our help. He didn't need our help with conceiving the first 2 girls that we have, and He don't need our help now. And so I put everything away. By this time also, I had also ordered a pack of digital pregnancy tests during the time that I was tracking the first 2 months. And I had ordered a pack of digital pregnancy tests that had 3 that came in it, because they were on sale on they were for a good price on Amazon. So I ordered those, and I figured, okay, I would need them one day anyway, so let me just go ahead and order those. So I had those, and then I had the whole kit of ovulation and pregnancy tests, but I put everything away. Told myself, don't even worry about it, just let all of that go. Just focus on what you need to focus on. So in the process of trying to train my mind to get back to not being so anxious and not worrying about it, not thinking about it, because it's easy to say I'm not gonna think about it, but it's not. It's hard to really just get it out of your mind like that. So I started back watching like some YouTube videos and stuff, and September came, and September 23rd was the due date of my actual the baby that I got pregnant with and lost in. The baby that I lost in January of 2020, I had the due date for that baby was September 23rd, And on September 23rd, as any date that gets close by, a milestone date or anything, I always get kind of emotional, and my mind is, back on that again. But this day I wasn't as anxious, I wasn't as upset. I thought about it, shed a few tears, and I was fine. But then as I was watching YouTube, I came across a video, and it was of motherhood mindset coach, and she had actually said something, and it was pertaining to something completely different, I want to say. And but the words that she said was that she asked God specifically to show her when it was going to happen for her, when this particular thing that she was waiting for, asking for, was going to happen for her. And she explained how she got the answer, how God gave her the answer to that or whatever. And I, just kind of in my head briefly said, well, maybe I need to try that. Maybe I need to ask God specifically when this is going to happen, when what I'm wanting and hoping for and praying for is going to happen for me, and see, what he said. Because this is not my first rodeo with God just making things very clear to me and dropping things in my spirit. And that's one thing that I hadn't done with this process, is to ask God specifically when it would happen for me. Later on that day, I was watching TV, doing something completely different, and the number 10 just popped up in my head, clear as day, in the words Big Faith. And Big Faith wasn't new to me, because Big Faith had been playing in my head from the beginning of the year until now. And the words Big Faith, and then the number 10, but I couldn't figure out what the number 10 was about. Also at this time, I was in the middle of a fast with my church back home, back in South Carolina. I was on a fast, and they had also started a faith challenge. I wasn't as active in the faith challenge. I would catch it some days, and some days I wouldn't. But I was very active with the fast. And as I heard the number 10, I just felt strongly that it was something that God wanted me to do with that number. And it kept popping up. And as a matter of fact, I wrote in my journal, my prayer journal, that day. This was the same day that I actually, this was the same day of my due date. The same date that the number 10 popped into my head. And I wrote in my prayer journal the number 10, September 23rd, 10. And I wrote, today I felt number 10 strongly in my spirit. I felt the desire to use that as an opportunity to do something for God. Sometimes when God drops something in my spirit, I don't know exactly what it is. I just know that it's something I should act on. And I know that He'll eventually reveal it to me later. But this time I felt like it was something that had to do with faith, because I kept hearing Big Faith. And so what I did was, I wrote down a plan, and I said for the number 10, I would do 10 scriptures on faith. I would write down 10 scriptures on faith, and I would share those, and possibly even do videos on those 10 scriptures on faith. And then I realized that the next month was the 10th month. It would have been October. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe I should start October 1st and do a 10-day scripture challenge, October 1st to the 10th. So that time came so quickly, and I had already written down the scriptures. I wrote down everything, 10 videos on scriptures, blog posts, 10 days, October 1st through 10th, and Big Faith. And then I wrote down the scriptures that I would be using. And I actually wrote down 11 scriptures, because I told myself that just in case I couldn't find the right words to explain one, I would have a backup scripture. So that's why I wrote 11 scriptures. But the first came and I hadn't done anything. And then the next week came and nothing was done. And at the time I was also working, and then I started feeling overwhelmed at work. I was working from home, and I started feeling a little bit overwhelmed at work. It was probably around the 8th, I would say. And I actually had to, clock out early just because like I was so emotional out of nowhere all of a sudden. But then on the 9th, it was another day of another overwhelming day. I called out. I knew I had to get myself together mentally, didn't know what was wrong. So the night of the 9th, it was after midnight, around midnight, when I was in the bed, getting ready to go to bed, getting ready to go to sleep. And all of a sudden I just got completely overwhelmed out of nowhere. I started crying, and I couldn't figure out why I was so overwhelmed or where it was even coming from or anything like that. And so when my husband did come in the room, I started talking to him about it, and I was like, I don't know where this is coming from or why I feel this way, but I feel like I need, to get back in counseling. I feel like I need to find a therapist because I don't know, I just feel completely overwhelmed, and I was really upset. And he agreed, we would find a counselor, we would find a therapist or something. And then he fell asleep. So as he was asleep, and then I was still kind of scrolling on my phone, and I realized that the date was 10. It was October the 10th because it was after 12, by that time. And so it was October the 10th, and then the number 10 popped in my head again, and I remembered what God had shown me, just the number 10, and it was something important about the number 10. So that's when it kind of clicked, and I was like, wait, today's the 10th month and it's the 10th day. And something just told me to check my period tracker app and the pre-mom app to see. It was actually the pre-mom app. I didn't check the period tracker app because that one was always a little bit off anyway. So I did check the pre-mom app. Like, mind you, I hadn't been testing, I hadn't been tracking, I hadn't even been looking at this app for since I put everything away. And so I checked this app, and lo and behold, it said that I was 10 days past ovulation. And I was like, wait, this can't be a coincidence. I was like, it's the 10th day, it's the 10th month, it's the 10th day, and this app is saying that I'm 10 days past ovulation. Maybe this is God trying to tell me that I need to take a test or something. And by this time I had, all the tests and everything there available. So I was like, well, now I'll wait till in the morning. I was like, there's no need to get up tonight, because if it's the 10th day, if it's gonna be something, it'll be something in the morning. So I was like, I'm gonna go to sleep. Of course I couldn't sleep because now this is on my mind. So I get up and I was like, okay, let me go ahead. I don't need to wait because I'm not gonna be able to sleep either way. So I got up and I pulled out one of the scripts first, one of the pregnancy scripts from the pre-mom kit. And I remember going, I had this red cup that I always keep under the bathroom sink for when I was doing my ovulation tracking and stuff. So I went to the bathroom, came back, and I remember dipping the test as I was standing like in front of the mirror, and I sat it on the counter, and I sat it on the counter, and then I closed my eyes and just did a short prayer, and I was like, God, if this is not what it is, God, I hear you clearly saying that the number 10 is important, and I know you to perform miracles, and if this isn't it, I know that it's something. I know there's something else and it's something better, but I don't believe this is a coincidence. And immediately after I finished praying, I didn't wait the 3 minutes or anything. Like, immediately after I said that short prayer, I looked down at the test, and it was positive, and I was shocked. because other than the number 10 and me being completely overwhelmed, I would not have known. I would not have even thought to test. But this test was clearly positive. It wasn't like a faint line where you had to squint. It was clearly positive. And it wasn't even, the 3 minutes wasn't even up yet. So, because I had the last test that I had taken, I misread and thought that it was positive. I was like, okay, well, let me make sure that this is not the wrong test, because if you know anything about the pre-mom kit, you know that the pregnancy scripts and the ovulation scripts, they're similar. The ovulation kit test will automatically have 2 lines each time, but the pregnancy test, it only has 2 lines if you're pregnant. But it's like, if you're not paying attention, you might, mistakenly open the wrong one. So I had to make sure that I didn't open the wrong one. But it clearly said HCG on the side, but I had to double check, triple check, because I didn't want to get my hopes up. And I was speechless. And then I just sat there and stared at it for a minute. And then when I realized that this was actually real, like, I just went into praise mode, started thanking God, and pacing the floor and just trying to figure out what to do with myself. And then I remembered that I had the digital test, and I was like, well, let me take the digital test to make it real. Although it was already real, because the other tests are just as good as the digital. And so I took the digital test and I recorded. I turned my phone camera to where it would record, and it recorded the each little bar going by, and then it popped up pregnant. And I'm still in shock as I think about it and as I tell the story. Each time I tell the story, I'm completely shocked, because I had no idea. But God. But God. So I started, like, I felt like the room started spinning, so I sat down on the edge of the tub. I sat down on the edge of the tub and just prayed and just thanked God, and just, had that little moment with God. And I said originally I was gonna wait, because by then it was like 2 a.m. and I said I was gonna wait, so I waited. But I couldn't wait. I said I was gonna wait, but then I was like, no, I can't wait. So I woke my husband up, and I called him in the bathroom and told him to come look. And I set the camera up where it would be facing us, although it didn't catch his head, because he's taller than me, but or his face. So he came in, and he didn't even notice it at first, because he's the type that if you wake him up out of his sleep, he's gonna be awake, but he's not gonna be awake. He's not gonna be alert at all. So he didn't even notice the test at first, but then he kind of saw it, and he was still kind of asleep. But he asked me, was I, playing a joke? And I was like, not at all. And he gave me a hug and everything, and he went back to sleep. And I was like, how can you sleep? Like, how can you go back to sleep? I couldn't sleep. I didn't go back to sleep until maybe about 5 or 6 o'clock that morning. And the next morning before I woke up, though, I think it kind of hit him then, because he came to me in the bed, and he was like, are you pregnant? And I said, yeah. He was like, oh, I thought I was dreaming. And I was like, no, you weren't dreaming. That's like, I am. The test was positive. So, and then once I did get up, I FaceTimed my mama, because I wanted her to know immediately, because I had waited last time to be able to tell her. And by the time I told her, she wasn't really able to really rejoice with us too much, because shortly after that is when I lost the baby. So, but I wanted her to be able to pray with us and everything. So I called her, FaceTimed her immediately, and showed it to her, and she prayed and everything. So that's how I found out that we were expecting again. And I'm now in my second trimester, and everything's going so well, and I can't thank God enough. I'm just grateful. But I wanted to really make this video because, like I said, watching these videos had helped me through my process, and if I can help somebody else and give somebody else a little bit of hope and show just how amazing God is and what He can do, if you just allow Him, take yourself out of the equation, take your emotions out of the equation, and just allow God to do His work, knowing that He don't need our help. He's God and He's God alone. He don't need our help. So if that's you, if you are longing for a child, if you've experienced loss, my prayers are with you. I'll be praying that you'll follow God's voice and His timing, and that you will soon get your positive test, and that you will be welcoming your beautiful baby as well. And once again, I just want to thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I think the next video that I share will be a first trimester update, because it's been a journey. Everything has been going well, but mentally and emotionally, I can say that has been the hardest for me. But I'll share that in another video. But once again, I want to thank you for watching, and just tune in for the next video. Thank you.